You're watching this video, you might be sitting there thinking, there's got to be more to life. There has to be more. Maybe you're an ambitious person who had really big dreams as a kid, and all of a sudden you went down this path that society sort of handed to you, right? Go to school, get a job, work your job, retire, right? But then you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm working. I don't feel very fulfilled. I had this big dream, grand dream of what I wanted my life to look like, and I always felt like there's going to be more, and you feel stuck. I get it. I was in that same position for a very long time. I was always an extremely ambitious person, and I had directed all of my ambition and energy towards the thing that I was passionate about, which was music. And I gave it everything I had. And if you know me, which a lot of you probably don't, but you know that music was pretty much all I talked about. When people asked me what I wanted to do, I was like, well, I'm going to be a professional musician one day. I'm going to break out of the corporate world. And, as I got older and older and older, and I showed up to work more and more and sat behind a screen more and more, I felt that part of me slipping away. That part of me that just felt like it was possible. It felt like every day I was sitting behind a desk, it felt like I was losing it. And I don't want to say I gave up, right? But what I kind of realized is, sometimes life has a funny way of just working. Life has a funny way of sort of redirecting you to do something else. If you don't know me and you're unfamiliar with my story, my name is Danny. 6 months ago, I was pretty much square zero, rock bottom, working a corporate job. I hated it. I just knew I had to make a change because I couldn't do it anymore. I just felt like there was more to life. And I felt like if I wasted one more minute doing something that I knew I shouldn't be doing, it was just going to eat me up. And so I decided I had to take action, and that's what I did. And I'd be happy to share my story a little bit down this video. But really, at the end of the day, I wanted to make a video in case you're feeling like I felt, because I know I can't be the only one who felt this way, where it just felt like there's so much more to life. It felt like there had to be more out there, right? Like I see all these people living these cool lives, especially on social media, and traveling, and there's just so much of the world that I wanted to see, and I just was annoyed that I just couldn't do it because I couldn't save enough money at my job, even though I was making a pretty decent salary. I couldn't really take as many vacations as I wanted because I had a certain amount of PTO, and I wasn't getting to where I wanted to with music. And I got to a point in December when everything kind of just came crashing down. December 2024, just a few months ago, at the start of this year, my band that I spent 4 years building and working on and doing shows just came to an end. And I was at this crossroads where it's like, well, what do I do now? Do I keep doing the music thing? I've given it 20 years. Do I keep going? Because I just felt like that was my calling and maybe even my purpose. But, I don't think anyone really, really knows what their purpose is in this life, aside from just being the best person that they could possibly be. I think maybe that's all of our purposes, is just being a good person. And so, I had this kind of mindset shift in December. I don't really know the exact day or the exact time or what it exactly was, but something flipped in my head where it was like, what, maybe this music path, I just have to put on side and direct that energy that I was giving to that to something else. Because if you're an ambitious person, you know what it's like to have to direct that ambitious energy towards something. And if you don't, it builds into anxiety. And that anxiety feeling is what a lot of people have. And when I say you're ambitious but stuck, I guarantee you that you're having a ton of anxiety, just pressure that feels like you should be doing anything other than what you are currently doing, right? Believe me, I know that feeling all too well. And the best way to relieve that anxiety, that anxious feeling, is to take action towards what you want your future to look like. Take action towards that person that you want to be. So for me, I had to really sit there and ask myself, what is it that I want my life to look like? Well, the music was great, but what was killing me is I was trying to make a living off of music. When I started doing that more, it almost kind of derailed my passion. I wasn't really enjoying it more. I was so focused on trying to make money with it, and I just wasn't really enjoying the music side of it. And that's when I kind of had a mindset shift that I was like, what if I just found a way to get my time back from my corporate 9-to-5 job so that I can practice music freely? And this is when everything changed. This is when I said, maybe I have to direct that energy that I was giving to music to something else, and that something be something that makes money. Because at the end of the day, I never really care so much about being rich. It's more so just being free, and money does buy freedom. So I said, let me go ahead and chase that. Let me learn everything there is to know about entrepreneurship and business models, right? Online business. And I went down a whole lot of roads. I learned a whole lot of things. And every day I learned something new. And the more I was directing that energy towards entrepreneurship and towards business type stuff and online money, right? The more my mindset started to shift and the more I started to see what might be possible in this life if I can just get my freedom back. And to me, the mountain that I was trying to climb was quitting my job. It just seemed like Everest to me. Like everyone I talked to was just like, don't quit your job. That's scary. That's bad. You're only 26. Don't quit your job. I had a 9-to-5 job. I had bills to pay. I had expenses. I had some debt. So it's like everyone told me that it wasn't really smart to do. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out and figure out a way to do this. And the only thing I knew I needed to do was figure out how to make money on the side of my job first. And so I went down that path, right? So I started learning about a whole bunch of different business models. And the more I directed that energy that I was giving towards music, right? Or whatever it is, maybe that your passion is. Maybe if you direct that energy towards something else, sometimes you can become passionate about something through the journey. And that is what happened to me. For about 3 months, once I decided on the business model that I was going to stick with after I failed at multiple of them, I talk about that in my other videos, but I decided on TikTok Shop, which was a little bit new at the time. In January, it was about a year old, and I said, I'm all in. I heard about it. I said, I'm all in. I'm going to go full throttle. And for the first 3 months, I was giving it all I had, and I didn't see any return on it. And that's when I had to double down on myself. And if you're familiar with my story, I bought into a mentorship, and that one didn't work out. And then I bought into another one. I was in this massive hole, was not having fun at the time. And then all of a sudden, I had a breakout month, and all of that work I put in started coming back to me with income. I had $10,000 a month in May, and then just recently in August I did a $20,000 month. And what I've realized is I've almost become passionate about something else, and not necessarily about making money, but passionate about just this freedom and the opportunity that this has provided me. And if you're sitting there thinking, that there's got to be more to life, I think sometimes the answer is working backwards, thinking what exactly do you want your life to look like, and then work from there. So for me, working backwards was, well, I want a life of freedom, a life where I don't have to clock into a job. I want a life where I don't have to report to an employer, which means, well, that means I probably have to start a business. But here I was sitting there thinking, I don't know the first thing about business. I don't know anything about that. No one really taught me that. Even though I went to business school, I can't really recall anyone teaching me how to properly start a profitable business. I was on my own, right? And that what was scary and what was hard. And especially, if you're on that journey, it could be a lonely journey when a lot of your friends maybe don't have similar goals, similar dreams. That was hard for me. But if you're an ambitious person, sometimes you just have to focus on your goal, and the right people sort of fall into place. And that's what happened with me. I just met a lot of cool people down this journey as I went through it. But it is crazy to think that I do not believe that I'm the same person I was when I started this journey. I just view life a little bit differently now. I wouldn't even be making a YouTube video like this 6 months ago because that was way out of my comfort zone. But I know that, if you're ambitious, sometimes you have to live out of that comfort zone. That comfort zone is a killer. It is holding you back. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It is the only way to grow. I am so certain of that now. Just looking back on all of this, it's just like the more uncomfortable I've felt, and the more comfortable I've gotten with being uncomfortable, the faster I've grown, and the faster I've expanded my streams, and the more confident it's made me as a person. And I think that could really help you if you feel stuck. Work backwards, right? Find out what exactly it is that you want your life to look like, and direct that energy towards that thing. Take action steps necessary to achieve that thing, because feeling stuck turns into anxiety and pressure. And the only way to alleviate that anxiety and pressure is honestly through action and focus. One goal and one road to get there. One thing I'd like to touch on there is, when you do decide on your goal, there's a lot of kind of paths to go down. The best way to do it is to pick one path and just stick to it. Because if you keep changing paths, it might take you longer to get up the mountain. So I share my story about kind of my life because I want you to know that there is more to life. I have brought that future that I wanted closer to me when I was waiting for it to get to me. I was waiting for that future to come to me. I had to go out and get it through action. 6 months ago, I was just another person stuck at a corporate job, making excuses about why I couldn't change my life when all I had to do was just get over my excuses and start taking action towards the thing that was going to make me money and bring me closer to my dreams. And now I am out of my corporate job and free to do music as I please. But like I said before, I've almost become passionate about something else, which is just super interesting, is that you never really know what your purpose is. You never really know what God has intended for you. But if you believe there's more to life, I promise you that there is. I know that feeling sucks. So the choice is yours. But I promise you, a year from now, you're either going to wish you started today, or you're going to be very, very grateful that you did.